What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to TBM Sports, and let's get into the Week 12 action in the NFL. Okay, so let's break down each and every game in the early 1 and 4 o'clock windows. If I do have a play for the Sunday night or Monday night game, I will add that into my mix. However, there will be a dedicated video for those contests. Okay, but let's get into it. Appreciate you guys giving me a couple minutes of your time. I know we're busy here on Sundays, and this is my best way of getting you guys my picks as we get into this Week 12 action. So thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you guys want to become a channel member, there is a link down below in the description as well. A couple channel sponsors, as well as our free Discord that you're welcome to join, and my page on X as always. Okay, so let's get into the picks. Let's use Outlier to do so. Just a conversation piece before we get going is there are a lot of big numbers here, and a lot of these numbers have adjusted since the look-ahead lines earlier on this week. But for me, guys, we are going to be looking into props a lot here. There are a lot of props that I do like, okay? And probably one of the bigger totals of the game at 50 comes in at the Lions and the Colts. Now, a couple storylines here in this matchup as we look into the betting splits. Ross St. Brown has been on fire in terms of anytime touchdown streaks, okay? But there is a bet that I do like in this game that does not involve the side or the total. This will be the likes of Jared Goff, okay? We're going to go under his passing attempts, and I took this at 32.5, and at 32.5, I had to get a number at minus 139. Talking about game script, okay, you can see here on Outlier where we've been at in the last 10 games. Not even eclipsing 30, over 30. He had 30 against the Houston Texans, but this is something where as we look into kind of passing plays, and you can really look into the workload and the splits, I think this is something where you look at him not being able to accomplish this in his last 8 games. And also, Detroit is probably going to be in that game script where they run the football a lot more against against the likes of the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, so that's kind of how I feel about this. This game does have blowout potential, and we are seeing that at the line at 7.5. This almost made my mix as a teaser leg. However, it seems to be that everybody and their brother, there's 3 teams that everybody and their brother are betting today. It's the Lions, it's the Colts, it's the Dolphins, and the other one I think is the Packers. And then there's also a lot of plays on the Broncos. Okay, so those are kind of the 4 teams that I've just seen way too much kind of public action on those games. So I'm staying away from those games personally, and that's kind of why I don't like this card, because it's one of those layup kind of Sundays that you just don't want to kind of fall into the trend and bet with the public. But that's just kind of where I'm at. So I'm fading a lot of games, and I just do this without even looking at numbers. It's just a blind fold, okay? Sometimes you got to trust the people playing across the table from you more so than the cards that you're holding in your hand, okay? So let's get into the next bet in the next game here on the card. Like I said, guys, I'm staying away from it. Detroit almost made it into that teaser leg. If we do want to make it a 4-team teaser leg, I'm not ashamed to do it. I'm not opposed to doing it. They were right on that cusp. That would be my 4th kind of leg if I was going to tease this, okay? And a lot of people here are probably asking yourself, when I do give you my 3 best bets against the spread, you're probably asking yourself, well, if you like these bets at 3, 1, and minus 10, why are you not teasing those? Why are you teasing different games? It's all about the key numbers, okay? We get a lot of value going down to basically a pick 'em. When you do tease across that 0, you lose a lot of value. You should never do it. I do it, though, sometimes. Sometimes it just makes sense, and you get that little insurance policy. But if you do tease NFL game lines, that's kind of my tried and true strategy. So, if you want to dive into Wong teasers, look down that leg and kind of explore that angle. That's also something you could be doing. But let's get down into the picks a little deeper. New England and the Dolphins, okay? You're seeing basically a little bit more so on the New England money line in terms of the the sharper action, if you will. And as we come into this game, guys, this is another one where a lot of people are on the Dolphins, all right? And minus 7.5 is kind of that weird number right above a 7. And I like a couple things in this game. I have leans for Jonnu Smith over his reception yards. He tore it up last week. But more so when we talk about this game, the bet that I will be taking is in the likes of Drake May, okay? So Drake May, we are going to go down in the prop market once more. Longest rush. This is one where I see extreme extreme value in, over 12.5. I will be taking Drake May over longest rush against a Miami team where they play a little bit better at home. I think that we do get some better, points. I think that that's something where you can look at kind of where maybe this game does shape up to be an under, but I could see a narrative where I think that New England can score a little bit. Miami scores a lot more at home. And New England kind of has been lighting up the scoreboard with Drake May. Okay, we saw a 28-22 loss against the Rams, and that's something where I do see this game getting into the 40s. And I think that Drake May will have to be in comeback mode most likely. So this is where I do see an avenue where Drake May takes off outside the pocket and gets a 13-yard scamper. One of my favorite bets of the afternoon. Okay. Next game that we're going to dive into, this will be the Tampa Bay and Buccaneers and the New York Giants. This is another fabulous betting move within a prop market, okay? And that's okay. If you like more props some weeks, that's fine. Just remember, you don't have to bet a set number of props. You don't have to bet a set number of games. If you like if you have 50 best bets, bet all 50, okay? If you have one best bet, that's your bet for the weekend, okay? Discipline is key. And just because I like 10 props and everything sounds good on paper doesn't mean that you have to play all 10, okay? Just keep that in mind. These are just strong leans, and in some form or fashion, they will find their way into my card in the form of a kind of a lottery ticket parlay, using and taking advantage of these odds boosts from the sports books. That's kind of, extreme value if you want to talk about that a little further, but we won't get into that. Let's keep moving. This will make my card as a teaser leg. Okay, Tampa Bay, absolutely loving the spot. Daniel Jones, goodbye. That's kind of where we look into kind of a mutual departing ways for the Giants quarterback here. Okay, but as we look into this game, Baker Mayfield looks like he's going to get Mike Evans back, but this is something where New York, I don't see them really rallying around the loss of Daniel Jones. However, if you do believe in some Tommy DeVito magic, right? For some reason, backup quarterbacks in the NFL all seemingly have this weird kind of phenomenon where I don't care if it was Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, even Jameis Winston. Hell, nobody's, it's just crazy how the backup quarterback can just take flight in the NFL. It really should write a book or do a documentary on it, okay? But this is kind of where we look at Tampa Bay. For me, guys, it's something where this almost made my card straight up. All right, Tampa Bay -6. It almost made it. It was this close. This was right on the cusp. Now that they get Evans back to go alongside Cade Otton, and the best bet in my kind of, I should say, approach for this game should be the Bucky Irving props, okay? Simply put, we look into kind of where we're at within, and I do want to say something. There's an overwhelmingly amount of the money. I'm going to scroll down on the under here, okay? So definite betting discrepancy on the under. So if you want to favor that direction, fine. I do think that the New York Giants try to run out the clock and just kind of end their abysmal campaign here in 2024. And right now you can find that total get a juiced up 41. I don't mind that, okay? I don't mind that. I have a strong lean towards Tampa Bay -6. But if you do like a low-scoring affair in the under, the back door is always going to be open for the Giants. So I'm staying away from that. I will look into the prop market, and this is one where we're going to dive into Bucky Irving, okay? Bucky Irving and the New York Giants have the most rush yards allowed against running backs, okay? And you can see it right here, 29th in the NFL, giving up 147.1 yards per game. You can see here, you can look at the rush share, okay? Rashad White, his rushing share has went down to 31.6, so Bucky Irving is outpacing him in that regard, getting 16 more attempts on the season, and this is kind of where we're going to look into Tampa Bay, probably running the football a little bit more so against the Giants than throwing. Last week against San Francisco, 73 rushing yards, okay? So better matchup against the Giants. I think Bucky Irving gets over this. There is a threshold, right? I took this at 52.5. I probably would quit playing it around 55, okay? Right now we can see 53.5s in the market, but I think this bet is very strong and live in the Giants-Buccaneers game. Okay, back into the board. Let's go down to the Chiefs and Panthers. This is where I don't know what happened with the Panthers, but they're really trying to screw up their draft position. Okay, but as we look into the Kansas City Chiefs, and more so, this is one where they have not lost I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say exactly lost, but their record following a loss, I should say, is a probably better way of verbing that one. Okay, has been absolutely remarkable. Okay, I think that we do get a showing from Kansas City. I don't mind Kansas City team total over, but Kansas City by the numbers, right? They are a under team. However, they are 50% towards the number on the season. And I always tell you guys, don't always look at the trends, right? If you see like Cincinnati or Kansas City's 4-5 ATS, 5-5 to the total, you don't know where those numbers opened and closed. Okay, I could have bet the under on Kansas City's 10 times, and I could be 8-2. Okay, you gotta look at the actual opening closing numbers when you actually bet it. Don't fall in love with last fives, last tens. Those are just kind of guidelines to help you through it. Okay, but this total has risen to 43 from 41.5. Kansas City minus 11. Okay, that's a little bit out of my reach. I don't want to lay the big number, but this is one where you almost have to trust it because, like I said, guys, Kansas City's stat line after a loss is very impressive covering the number. So Kansas City covering 4 of their last 5. Obviously, Travis Kelce against the Panthers, that is much in play. The Carolina is abysmal to tight ends when it comes down to it, and I think that this is kind of where it's a pass for me at this big number, but Kansas City is going to find my way into that teaser, though, taking them down to -5 as we look to add them to the mix. Okay, next game, Titans and the Texans. This is a pass for me. Quite frankly, guys, we're not even going to talk about it. Okay, so this is kind of where this is crossed off of my sheet. The only bet that I would make in this contest would be taking Joe Mixon anytime touchdown, and I would lay that pretty much up to whatever because that's a guaranteed conclusion as well as long as he does not injure himself in the process. Okay. Dallas and Washington, this will be another leg within that teaser. -10 is another bet that I'm going to lay. I trust it a little bit more so, okay? I trust it a little bit more so. Dallas does not have a running game whatsoever, and Washington is going to run the football down their throat, okay? So I'm a little bit under the Jaden Daniels stuff today. I think Brian Robinson anytime touchdown is still too low, -137. We're going to pull that one up here, but first let's talk about the betting splits. Washington is getting, Dallas is getting a lot of the money on terms of the money line and as well as the spread, okay? I just think it's something where for some reason they think it's going to be a cagey game under 45. That's where the handle's shaping up to be on this under. Maybe somebody knows something I don't. I'm willing to lay the 10 points here with Washington. I know it's a big number. It's probably best spent in my teaser where I will take them down to a 4, okay? But this is kind of as we look at it a little bit deeper, guys. I just don't see any reason why or how, okay, Dallas can find a way today, okay? Plus, you talk about kind of what's going on, and I just want to confirm what we have in Week 13. Okay, let me look at this real quick. The first 3 games, so Dallas does play on Thanksgiving. That's another thing we have to keep in mind are these teams that will be playing next week, okay? That's something where on a short turnaround, short week, this is a bad spot for the Cowboys. Divisional game. Divisional dogs have been barking, but I do think this is where you do look into that narrative within the Commanders. 10.5 is getting out of control. I took it at 10. I won't lay the 10.5, but I do see an angle where this could get ugly for the Cowboys here in the spot. And, I just wonder how long Jerry Jones is going to waste time keeping Mike McCarthy around. And then we get to talk about the circus act within if they're going to hire Deion Sanders from Colorado and bring in his son to be quarterback. All right, that'll really just wake up the echoes. Anyways, I digress. Let's get into that next game. But I did want to share with you guys kind of that number here with Brian Robinson. Okay, here's the anytime touchdown. I don't actually mind if you guys want to get a little risky. And this is where we're going to look into touchdowns. And if you want to find, this is why I love Outlier, you can find over 1.5 is 4-1. I don't mind that. It's a little bit too low for me. If it was 5-1 or more, I'd be all about it. But Brian Robinson, this could be a juicy matchup. Even though they do predict it going lower in terms of the total, I just see an angle where he gets in the end zone twice. Okay, that's where I'd be at for the Dallas Commanders game. But Outside of that, it's just going to be Commanders -10, Commanders in a teaser, and we're going to take the anytime touchdown with Brian Robinson. Okay, next game, Minnesota and Chicago. This is a stay-away game for me as well, guys. No play for me. I'm going to pass on this one. I do have a lean towards the Vikings. However, it's just kind of one of those, on-the-road spots, 8-2. There's nothing really flashy about this game. Total set at 39.5. It makes you wonder. The only thing that I could talk about a little bit more so is probably the Swift numbers there for Chicago. That's kind of where I would see this game kind of headed. Maybe Darnold interception, but outside of that, there's really nothing too crazy that I like in this game. Justin Jefferson's one that I do want to share some light on. If we have an angle to talk about Justin Jefferson, I want to bring this up. And DJ Moore, obviously love him anytime touchdown. But if we look in terms of the touchdown market here for Justin Jefferson, which for some reason he might be not playing. That would make a lot of sense, but let me just double check on that. Yeah, I don't know why he's not on there for anytime touchdown. Maybe it's not being offered. Anyways, yeah, Justin Jefferson, though, is what I was getting at. He hasn't scored a touchdown. And this is something where if you do play kind of that back and forth kind of zigzag theory, to start off this season, he scored in 4 straight games, 5 in his last 6 games, but scoreless in his last 4. So just by the numbers, this is a matchup, albeit it is a lower total that Justin Jefferson's due is basically what I'm trying to say. So I don't mind a little Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown, and the market might have adjusted a little bit in that regard. Okay, now we're getting to the 4 o'clock slate real quickly. We do have a lot of plays here, so let's get to it. The Broncos and Bo Nix. Staying away from the game in terms of the side. However, for me, guys, and my money, I do like me some Bo Nix over passing yards. This number has continued to climb. 215 against Kansas City, albeit that is one of the better defenses. So that's an outlier in my book. Okay, he's averaging 213.7. But in those last 4 games where we look at kind of the matchups against crappier competition, and this is one where we look into kind of where the Raiders are 11th in passing, but this is where the white flag's starting to get raised, guys. All right, and I think this is a potential game where we see a lot about Cortland Sutton, one of my favorite kind of sleeper picks I'd had in fantasy, and with Bo Nix throwing the football a little bit more so, we're good to go in that regard. I think he airs it out, okay? Like Bo Nix throwing the football, and a lot of targets. Adam Troutman also kind of coming into that mix in terms of the tight end. He's getting a little more weapons here and comfortable in that Sean Payton offense. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I like the over with Bo Nix. We took it up to 221.5, and that will be one of my best bets in Broncos Raiders. Okay, next game on the card. Let's get down into the San Francisco Green Bay game. Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown. That is where I'll be at for this one. Also, guys, if you do want to talk about a little bit of where we could be at in terms of props, George Kittle. Okay, we talk about the narrative and who's going to replace the likes of Purdy. But for me, in my money, it's something where you look at kind of how they're going to lean on Christian McCaffrey in this game. Jordan Love, I think that it's just going to be a run-to-football kind of game. I know a lot of people are predicting unders. In the betting market right here, guys, you can see agrees with me. 89% of the handle on the under, despite 55% of the bets on the over. I'm staying away from it. I could see this being a low-scoring game, but I just quite frankly don't agree with it. But I do think both teams look to run the football extreme amounts of volume, okay? And that's kind of why we get to where we're at within the prop that I do like. Outside of the anytime touchdown for Josh Jacobs, which I do like a lot, it'll be George Kittle, over 39.5 receiving yards, right? Who do we get suiting up for the San Francisco 49ers? That will be a question. Will it be Josh Dobbs? I got to see who's playing at quarterback because both of the replacements, just so you guys know, this is kind of where we look into kind of a jump start, okay? That's just kind of how I look at it. If you talk about who's going to actually play. I do want to find the exact name because there is, I believe it's not Josh Dobbs. But either way, yeah, Brandon Allen. Okay, Brandon Allen will be that replacement. And when you do get a backup quarterback into the fold, I think a lot more weight goes to the tight end. That's just kind of how I feel about it. It's a comfortable target. You're comfortable. Quarterbacks and tight ends work closely together. It's almost like they're part of the brotherhood. It's like pitchers, catchers in a way. Tight ends are always like the odd man out, the stepsister within the offensive line for the most part in some situations, but the quarterback tight end relationship always is there. Okay. So that's kind of where I would lean in this game. I'm taking Kittle over 39.5 receiving yards, way too low. I think that the comfortability is there, and I do look for Brandon Allen to connect with George Kittle. Arizona and Seattle. This will make my card as a straight up play. Arizona on the money line, minus 105. That's where we're going to be at. Number did cross over 0. Seattle came in as favorites. I'm sorry, not as favorites. They came into this game. It was a little bit skewed. Okay, but we did see this number open up at 3, and now Arizona, depending on where you look at it, is a favorite in this spot. But I'm taking Arizona money line. As long as they run the ball with James Conner, they're going to win this game. And also, there's something to understand about this. The Seahawks, you want to talk about their record against the Cardinals, it's there, okay? They have really defended against Seattle. Against Arizona. And for my money, it's going to be best bet on Arizona. I think that this is a 0-6 kind of division rivals here. If we look into kind of Arizona against Seattle, everything from a trend perspective sets up for Seattle to win this game. Cardinals are off a bye. I just like the Cardinals in the spot. I've been riding them. They're 4-0. If you don't like the Cardinals, that's fine. This is a best bet for me because I've been winning money betting the Cardinals. So I'm not going to bet a streak to end. So I'm basically just riding that trend, albeit the situation within the Cardinals versus the Seahawks does set up a little bit better for the Seattle Seahawks. Okay. And then the last game, we're going to just kind of tease it into the evening, is the Eagles and the Rams. This is a play where I have minus 2.5. I will do a full video talking about this pick more in depth, but that is my best bet for the Sunday Night Football. Okay, and here is my final plays. If you guys have stuck around through the end of this video and heard me ranting about my picks and my analysis, appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. Make sure you guys all subscribe down below the channel. Smash that like button, and good luck with your plays. Let's take it to the books. Great day yesterday in college football. I'll see you over on Discord a little bit later on. Feel free to message me there, and good luck. Let's have a day, guys.